Carvana, CVNA, Carvana stock update. This is really popular stock on the channel. If you're new to Tradespotting, we've made hundreds of thousands of dollars for people trading Carvana. And, you know, don't want to toot my own horn too much, but nobody's covered this as well as I have with these buys and these potential targets, the sales, the re-entries, and then this breakout move. Really, really good work here on behalf of the viewers. So if you want any stock update, like you're about to watch here with Carvana, then just use the links below and let me know. 236 retracement on this move would come in at around 24.33, which would be about testing this 382 from the all-time high to the low. The reason Carvana is in this deep downtrend here since the end of 2021 is due to a number of failed acquisitions, the fact that their liabilities are 10 billion and their assets are 8 point something billion, and that they have a 200 million loss in Q1. So earnings will be interesting. The more of that we see, the better. Here on the weekly time frame, the downtrend is quite clear, the breakout is quite obvious, and the potential retracements from here are huge. Okay, so if you go through this 236, you've got nothing within this parabolic breakout style move. It's a very strong linear trend to be true. But if it does break, you've got very little other than that 236 to look for in terms of support apart from the prior high. So 24.68, that doesn't hold. You're looking at 19.84, $20 sort of level, and a 382 at 17.04. Anything beyond that, you're talking about potentially coming down testing $10 again. That doesn't really match up with the fibs here, so I'd be expecting a golden pocket or an 886 in at around $5, $4 and change. So that's what potentially happens when this breakout move breaks down. It will come back, probably will come back and test $4. So that's the weekly. Sounds scary, because I've only talked about the downside. If you did look about it to the top side, you have to break this peak at 56, which might be where it's heading. It's currently at 37.70. And, you know, what percentage move would that be from here? Well, from the peak, it would be 37%, and we're not at the peak. So a huge percentage move if it just goes to test the prior high, where it looks to be heading, having gone through the 50%, only body closed at the 50% retracement of the grand old fib from the top, as my great old granddaddy used to call it, right? So you've got Carvana, potential retracements, potential immediate targets to the top side, which would be in line with the trend and represent continuation. So probably, you know, people are quite bullish on this at the minute. Truth being told, it's gone up 400% since the lows. So approximately, so this was such a good call. So you're talking about, there you go, that's actually over 1,000% since the lows. So 400% since the $8 probably, is it? Yeah, that math seems better. 587. Well, I mean, you know, like I say, I don't like to toot my own horn too much. So this is a Carvana breakout targets. If you're looking at the top side target, you would probably think this peak, it being so approximate to the golden pocket, right? They're much the same as each other. Even the body closes here at $52. That might be the aim if you're holding it, if you're long, if you're in this move anywhere in advance of that. But because it's so very dangerous, it's difficult to jump in on this moving train. Weekly, you're in the bullish control zone. Not going to argue with that, though I might argue with their EBITDA figures. On to the daily time frame then, where you can see there's a touch of divergence, but everything in the bullish control zone throughout that period of time, hardly leaving it difficult to say that there's been any sort of a retracement in price action. No local lows, no oscillations, no discernible points to choose from for divergence. You know, you can't compare this peak to this peak to this peak. That's one bullish trend. Instead, you'd be looking back at this previous guy here and saying none of these peaks in price action, despite price action exceeding here, none of them really managed to push significantly beyond this guy. You only got one guy coming close. And again, price action being higher than previous highs, but the momentum indicator showing that not to be the case. Momentum oscillator. So you know, there is a touch of divergence. Warning signs. You might expect them though in a breakout. You definitely expect to find it in the bullish control zone. Onto the 4 hour, and you've got that 451 Rocky Outcrop Flash, an 886 retracement, a Rocky Outcrop Flash, and it's so very possible this happens, you know. When it does, it'll be a difficult move to trade to the downside, but that it made a great lot easier by being patient when amble, being patient and not trying the same trade too many times, therefore choosing the best places with the highest probability. And if you're using stops, then you'd probably make money. Will the shorts get burned? Well, they've already been burned, right? It left a gap here at $8 and change as it went up to the top side. The shorts would have been looking at it reaching this downward sloping diagonal and adding to their positions. They would have exceeded this previous low here, also leaving a gap. Anyone who added to their position at that stage was liquidated. So it may well be that the short squeeze narrative that drove this thing to the top side is not what's adding fuel to this fire of an uptrend. That might instead be shorts being liquidated and shorts having to close, therefore buy to go close their position, adding to the buying pressure. And you could see that those shorts then that are looking at entering that haven't yet done so, they can obviously identify this prior peak as being a much more interesting place to do it from, that there's Fibonacci confluence with this red line. And, you know, if you were to do it there, let's just speculatively draw out this Fibonacci here, stretch him on up, say tested that prior high. Then you're talking about coming right down, 886 retracement, still all valid there. 236, you'd have to be holding 31.92, that's way above your previous peak. Could well get here and bounce around a little bit and not break down completely. So, you know, that's what I mean in terms of taking that downward sloping move when this eventually does break out. You know, a lot of people get excited and start entering shorts here where it may well indeed bounce. That's just speculating on price continuing on up. I mean, this is still true if it doesn't and we go back to where the fib was before. Then you're still looking at this potential for it to hatch 236 and bounce before it drops right down, which would trick a lot of people who are eager to short Carvana. Parabolic moves do tend to retrace a significant amount, and if people are looking at that this way, then they'd be thinking the same thing. So you know, there's the potential downtrend. It would much lower risk to take that trade from the top side. Again, that speaks to the profit target of 67, 58, those sort of levels, 64. Pardon me, golden pocket retracements. So this is the continuation, profit target or the potential short entry, though I don't like to catch knives, and if you flip this upside down and went long, that would be catching a knife. You know, you want to be timing your entry when the breakdown happens, along with the confirmation. Now you enter at 24 for a target of 4. Right, that's plenty of meat on the bone. You don't need to take it from the very extreme top side of the oscillation. You would rather other traders proved the value of the trade to you by bringing it down to your entry at an area of inflection. So that area would be 58 to 65 bucks. If you're talking about targets to the top side and you're measuring it from extensions, Fibonacci extensions, you can see 1618 is at 45.97, so 45, 46 bucks, the previous peak. That is a tough level to break. Should you do so? The extensions on this suggest that you could go up to 150. I am betting on that. That would very much just be the short squeeze narrative that taking it up there. Inventory at Carvana has been dropping as expenses have not yet decreased since that most recent move. Yeah, so there'll be a lot of people taking profit on this thing. So I'd be very, very careful about jumping in on it. And if I was looking to enter, one of the ways that I would manage that situation would be looking at a continuation of this trend line, finding support here. Ideally, it would be in at around a 236 or a different Fibonacci, and you can see that that would take you out of the trend. Speaks to the danger of breaking these strong moves to the top side without any test of significant support throughout this move. Then it's not to be said that you would find any support within it should you retrace back down. You know, this here move, that previous peak, you found a touch of support at that level. That's at the 236. That's beyond this diagonal. If price action breaks down, it has to hold those levels, the prior peak and the 236, or it looks very dangerous. I wouldn't necessarily expect this to stop at 382, as you find that's in the middle of a gap anyway, so you'd very much likely come down to 50% retracement, which is at 12 bucks. So at 12 bucks from 37, you want to lose 2/3 of your money, then you would enter without a stop loss on a move that's potentially divergent, has not yet tested support, and which would break the diagonal trend if it did continue down. So this would be, you know, where you would know you were wrong in around these levels. And if that does happen, you know, and you're looking for a long, that sounds like they're a good place to enter, doesn't it? Because you know you're wrong, so you can enter a stop just beyond 24.68. So, you know, that prior low there at 22 change, that sort of level for a stop, this sort of area for an entry, maybe that's where, you know, if you're wrong from that point on, you don't want to go long. If you're looking to jump in on this thing, that might be the place where people think about it. The fact is, you've broke a diagonal, so it's very dodgy, risky, be careful. And if you're looking for a breakdown, that would also be the entry, right, with a stop on the top side, potentially. You wait for confirmation, maybe a breakdown, a retracement, and then final break. But this is the pivot point at 25, 24 bucks on Carvana. It's very, very important. I know we've moved a lot percentage-wise since then, but in the overall scope of the chart, not that much. So if you test that and recover, I'd say there'd be a big move on the cards, and you would be looking up towards, you know, 65. That breaks, you'd just be looking at 100% move, maybe more. Test 21618 and this previous peak. So that would what you'd be looking to. 1 to peak, 2 peak, break to the top side, but with lots of congestion. I'd anticipate at all of those important levels above the prior high, this previous move, peak, and if we are to draw out this Fibonacci from that guy down, you could see that you're probably in at around an 886 at the minute, 44.18, that was the high. So it's already putting in, it's already hit the target that a lot of people would be aiming for from this breakout. If you were aiming for anything more than this, then it would only be to this previous peak. Anything beyond that isn't sensible trading if you were entering here. So that speaks to the profit-taking mentality of those people at these levels, which speaks to a reduction in the velocity of price action, especially if it doesn't hold this 236 on a retracement, and your early warning signs would be breaking a diagonal. So back up to the weekly, nothing to worry about in the bullish control zone. Down to the daily time frame, again, bullish control zone, but warning signs with this formation on the RSI, and you can see clearly now you're reaching important areas in price action where you could easily see a fake out. 86 retracement, this peak that the mouse is over, and then above it, you know, if you go on, that's the next target. And then you'd be worried then about the daily time frame, the RSI falling out of the bullish control zone, and what that meant for price action. You want to compare the lows that this puts in RSI, should it drop out of the bullish control zone, and see how far price action is retraced. Because if you get bullish reversal divergence, so the reversal divergence and continuation on to the top side in price action, for that would be a good entry. 4 hour time frame where you see the flash, the warning signs all over the place now. Everything we said about the RSI, it managed to hold the center line on this previous oscillation low. If it breaks that now and price action doesn't break that, the RSI goes lower and price action doesn't exceed the 236, that would be a strong buy signal. You still need to use a stop loss. Onto the 1 hour, holding the center line, but its potential breakdown. You could say that price action here, while not bullishly divergent, a little bit dodgy. Class B maybe, and then this failure at the low side of returning into the bullish control zone, also a signature of something not too positive. 15 minutes though, you've had a recovery, you're back above the center line, price action testing a horizontal level of resistance. If it breaks up, short-term targets 38.58, 41.58, 44.40. That's what you're looking at. But price action, is it rolling over? We're not seeing that. This is an obvious uptrend, lots of different gaps. That's partly speaks to the danger if it does start a breakdown in a cascading price action where it might go. So I run down across the time frames to sum things up at the end there. Essentially, Carvana is a very dodgy entry at the minute. There's a big percentage move left if it does kick on up, but there's tests in advance that could put entries at this point in significant danger. So, you know, you can't have every move, and there'll be plenty more to look to in future. If this does come back, I'd be waiting for it, waiting for a test of 24. That would be what I'd look for. If it breaks up without that, I'd be looking to trade the breakout, exceeding the previous high, using stops immediately at that area and seeing to take advantage of that. I'd also be mindful of those targets for taking profit. You're only ever going to be successful in trading if you have targets. Otherwise, fate will come for you and all of your accounts. So you're looking at that, waiting. Patience is the best name of the game here. For a long, that would be the entry. If you're looking for a short, it's also the entry, and you want to have your stop on the opposite side of the direction you're looking for and hope to price action. If it reaches here on the first occasion, it probably bounces, and I'd move my stop up with price action. If it comes down and breaks that 236, it probably bounces and then fails, returns to the 236 and then breaks down, at which point then I'd enter and have my stop, which would again follow price action down, because the short squeeze narrative with Carvana is still strong and it gets a lot of attention. So these are the areas to look to then. And anything beyond that 236, it could be a cripplingly large breakdown which shocks everybody who's in it and takes price action. Will fold in on itself and come back down to the $4 target. And the Rocky Outcrop Flash, very, very, very possible in a breakdown. So I'd be very dodgy, very careful of Carvana because it's so dodgy. And this quick video on Carvana. Thank you very much, kitties. For the fax request, you can get one for yourself for any chart you're interested in. And I'll do my absolute best to help you out and give you my analysis, targets, and take on your charts or trades. So let me know, not financial advice, but it's very good advice. Good, very good, it's not even advice, but it's very entertaining and it's educational. 451 target, my goodness gracious me, from a 3770 strong uptrend where the world's looking the other way, that'd be crazy. So, and there's implications for root too, you know, they've got a lot of warrants and loans which are tied into Carvana themselves, who've got a lot of money invested in acquisitions that haven't quite worked out yet. So if across the board the auto industry keeps going, Carvana have got a chance, but their own fundamentals are a little bit lacking. So we'll see. They usually are when the short squeeze is happening, though, aren't they? They always have to raise money to Carvana. Every year since inception, they've had to raise money. So that's one of the things you're thinking about with regards to Carvana. If you want a fax request, use the links in the description below. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll do my best to help you with this show or any others. Always the same, trying to help the audience. So if you want to support the channel, you can support me on Patreon. You can send through these fax requests. They all help the channel. And you can take the course at technicalanalysis.school, www.technicalanalysis.school. Learn how to trade profitably and give up that job in the cheese sandwich factory. Thanks very much. Hit the like button. And check out Rocky Outcrop's stream. Yesterday, whenever you're watching this, it might not be yesterday, obviously, for you, but Rocky Outcrop did a show on Friday there on the next targets in Bitcoin and the things to look out for to know whether it's going up or down, so you get a heads up ahead of everybody else. And the show was fantastic. If you're interested in XRP and where it's going, the best analysis maybe I've ever seen was from Rocky on XRP yesterday in the start of that show. It's in the first section of that video. So look up Rocky Outcrop's channel on YouTube and give it a watch, a like, and a subscribe. Thanks very much. See you in the next one. I'm also going to do videos on, I have done videos on FUBO TV, IMUX, that's Immunic Inc. Now, obviously Carvana. I'm going to go on and do AI, BDTX, CVS, and EVGO. So lots more to come. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.